Parents of identical twins, what was your honey, I switched the kids moment? My grandmother baptized the same kid twice. This is how you get the good/evil twin thing. Making them extra demon-proof. So with very few answers, I'll answer this with a summer camp story. We were playing capture the flag, but the teams got to hide their flag. Well, each team in my game had a twin on each team, and the one on my team walked over to the other team's side and asked to be reminded where their flag was. He grabbed it and ran back before anyone noticed it was the wrong one. Ultimate play right there. Adding my own summer camp story, I was a volunteer at a summer camp for 14-year-old when I was 18 or so. I'm horrible with names, so I only knew the names the ones I talked the most with, and who was in my group. End of the camp, one of the girls I didn't talk that much to came to say bye to me. Then her twin sister came up as well. I had no idea they were twins, or that it was two of them up until that moment. I had a classmate that has a twin sister. One day me, her twin, her and her boyfriend, went from school by train. Classmate sat with her boyfriend and I sat with her sister. Boyfriend had to use the toilet, and when he was gone, they got an idea. Apparently they never tried to switch to see if he would notice. So, they quickly switched some clothes. They were dressed similarly, changed their hairstyles and switched the seats. When he came back, he looked at one, confused, then at the other, repeated the action several more times, then looked at his girlfriend and was like, really? While he started laughing. Lol, how long was he in the bathroom that they had time to change their hair and everything? Must have been reassuring that he immediately knew the difference though. I knew of two male twins that supposedly would switch dates when they were in college. I never went so far as to ask if they slept with the same women or not. Mom of identicals here. Not really one moment yet, but I had them by C-section, and for some reason it's always bothered me that I may have gotten them mixed up when we finally took the hospital bracelets off. They had no real differences as infants, so I think about that at least 5 times a day. Therefore now. Identical twin here. My dad intentionally swapped our ID bracelets many times when we were infants in order to stop any argument about who was older. His words. I am the younger sister of identical twin brothers. My mom was so scared of switching them after removing their hospital bracelets that she painted one of their big toes just until she knew she'd be able to tell them apart. Identical twin here. When I was 4, we were at Disney World with all my cousins who are around the same age. I wandered off for just a minute, and my family took the time to move on to go somewhere else. When my mom was doing a head count, my brother moved and she counted him twice, so it took them a few minutes to realize I was lost. Some nice strangers saw I was crying and noticed I was lost, and helped look for my family. My dad eventually spotted me, and hopped over a 7-foot fence to come get me. Security didn't like that very much and they almost kicked him out. But everything worked out in the end. Your brother knew what he was doing, he wanted you to be left behind. Keep a close eye on him, he might murder you and pretend to be you. This is how Home Alone starts, except the family in Home Alone didn't realize the error until after they were in Paris on vacation. Once in my very large high school, I had a teacher stop mid-lecture, and stated, "You're not twin A, go switch back." When Twinner came back to classroom, he was really embarrassed at getting caught and asked how she knew. She didn't have an answer, but apparently they had switched on at least 2 other occasions. Most people in the class didn't even know he was a twin. Whoa. That's some attentive teacher. I'm a fraternal twin. Despite this, we looked exactly the same when we were little. As an infant, my grandmother fed my sister twice, thinking she had fed the 2 of us. Edit. Wow, I didn't think I would get this many upvotes. I'm glad you all found it hilarious. We still laugh about it to this day. My twin sister and I still look alike, but not as much as we used to. No, grandmas feed people twice anyways. And your sister apparently didn't refuse it. On my high school swim team we had a pair of identical twins. For anyone that doesn't know how swimming works, there are 4 different strokes: backstroke, breaststroke, butterfly, and freestyle. An individual medley is when all stroke are put into one race. One of the twins, A, was better at backstroke than twin, B. Meanwhile, B was better at breaststroke. At this particular meet, our coach decided to put them together in an relay where A would swim breaststroke and B would have to swim backstroke. The only way you could tell the twins apart was by their swim caps. They decided to switch swim caps and swim for each other on the relay. None of us noticed until the year after when they told us. Was this deliberate by the coach, or did the coach mix up the twins? I would have expected the coach to put the stronger swimmer on each leg of the relay. Any tricks on how to not get water in your mouth while learning to swim freestyle? Since this is a fun question that hasn't gotten many responses, I will say I knew a set of identical triplets in high school who'd sometimes go into one another's classes and mess with people. Made for a fun April Fool's Day joke. Had twins in most of my classes that did this in high school too. I have an identical twin and I never did this. I found that in my everyday life, people called me the wrong name about half the time. I was always pretty used to it, so I was never at the point where I was like her. You called me the wrong name. Isn't that hilarious? So switching places with him to intentionally mess people up didn't really appeal to me at any point as a funny prank. My dad was identical twin. As a small kid, the first time I met his twin, my dad wasn't there. I jumped into my uncle's arms and immediately sensed something was wrong. According to my mother, I jumped down and ran away and hid. Just like a scene from a movie. I'm sure he didn't respond quite right. Held his arms at a different angle, or didn't hug you with the usual squeeze. Touch has a rich vocabulary all its own. There are some cute YouTube videos of identical adult twins messing with the other twins' little kids. Coached high school football for a few years, and there was identical twins on the team. During 2-a-days, one of the boys was hearing a crop shirt under his shoulder pads, and I was able to notice he had a giant scar on his stomach from appendix surgery anyway. I was very excited because I thought this be the way I could start to distinguish between the kids. Turned out both of the boys had their appendix taken out, so I had to go back to the drawing board on that one. But by the end of the year I figured out which one was which. Always tell by the shoes. That is how I could tell the twins I wrestled with apart. Rarely do they switch shoes. Big brain twins would have signed up as one player and done one practice a day and switch off. Took all 3 to the park. I have boy/girl twins. Twin 1 had a big purple star on the back of her coat. Hood up, she was sliding down the twisty slide. I got distracted by the other 2. I had had enough, so scooped the kids up to go home. To my horror, I had picked up the wrong kid. This other little girl had the same big purple star on her coat. She was the exact same size and everything. Hood up too. I only noticed when her dad yelled at me, "Oi. That my kid." No hard feelings, but a little embarrassing. Did you return the child? What pleases me most about this story is that on a thread filled with people mistaking one identical twin for another, you managed to mix up one of your twins with a totally unrelated child. Smiley face. Obligatory not me post. But my aunt had identical twin boys. One Thanksgiving we were teasing them and her that they could very well be the wrong one. My aunt swore up and down that it never happened and she knows for sure which one was which at all times. After the kids went outside, it was quiet for a minute, and my aunt took that big gulp of wine before saying, "Yay, totally possibly." I used to mark one of their feet with a marker, and one day after a bath I couldn't find the mark anymore. Just don't have the heart to tell them. Much laughter ensued. Edit, words. My twin boys are 13 now. I've never mixed them up, but when they were younger I used to address them with very generalized words like son and buddy. It sounds like, at some level, you worried that you might mix them up. I don't think calling the wrong name is such a big deal. My dad regularly called me by my brother's name, and we're not even twins. We're 6 years apart. We have 3-year-old identical triplets, and for the most part I can tell the difference just based on their coughs. But I will say that often I find myself calling out for one of the kids that I'm actually holding in my arms. Which one are you? Cough right now, child. I have one 3-year-old, so I have to ask. How many times a day do you answer the same exact question? Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.